Hi all, welcome to the Digital Tourism Show, and in this episode I would like to discuss GDPR, as there is so much information out there that it can be a little bit overwhelming to process and figure out exactly what is required for your business by the May the 25th deadline. So in the hope of offering some clarity, I will cover what exactly GDPR is, what your business must do for it to be GDPR compliant, and how GDPR specifically affects the tourism industry. Most industries in Europe, or anyone who deals with EU citizens, are frantically trying to figure out what GDPR means for them, and the tourism industry is no exception. Failure to comply with GDPR by the 25th of May could result in a heavy fine, and the EU has given ample notice of its deadline. To be GDPR compliant, your company must be able to prove it has met the following data conditions. 1. Data must be collected transparently. 2. Data must be used for only the purpose for which it was stated and collected. 3. Data must be accurately and up to date. 4. Data must be adequately protected from hackers or third parties who may try to access it. And 5. Data must be completely deleted when your relationship with that customer ends. Don't be overwhelmed by this. Instead, try to follow these 3 easy steps. Step 1. Fully audit your current data. Now organise your data to figure out exactly what you have. Once you have taken stock of your data, figure out if you'd ask your customers for consent to keep this data. Do you have a record of this consent? Step 2. Gather consent for your data. Any customer making a booking will have to enter their data, and you don't need additional consent from them to do this. However, if you plan to use this data later on for marketing purposes, you will require a record of consent for it. For past data, you should reach out to your previous customers and ask if you can keep this data and explain what it's for. However, only contact previous customers before the deadline. After that, you may simply have to delete the data as you won't have consent for it. For new data, asking for consent is part of your booking process to make sure you're covered in future. Make this language as clear and explicit as possible. And step 3, assess and update your security. As a vital part of GDPR involves providing adequate security for your customers' data, it is important for you to assess your company's data security. Is your database secure? An additional concern, specifically in our industry, is that we often have to share customers' details with suppliers if we're working on various different services. Be very careful with this and make sure that everything you share is secure. If you have a few regular suppliers, you could get in contact with them and ask them what they're doing to ensure that they are GDPR compliant too. For a more in-depth guide on how you can ensure your business is GDPR compliant, check out the ICO's guide to GDPR. So how does GDPR successfully impact the tourism industry? Well, as I said before, GDPR affects a company that offers goods or services to people in the EU. Now, this might not affect some industries outside of the EU, but it's pretty much guaranteed to affect anyone in the tourism industry, regardless of your niche. This is because your target audience hopefully pulls in from many different countries around the world, including people living in the EU. However, one area where the tourism industry has a very notable advantage over others is its customers' goodwill and interest. Most people are happy to be contacted about possible discounts on hotels, flights and tours, etc. GDPR simply isn't as scary as some other scaremongering articles on the net are letting on, but you will need to adjust the way your company records, stores and shares data. This is practices you should have been doing in any case.